What up, YouTube? What up, YouTube? You clicked the title, you read the page. Inside Jacksonville's deadliest gang war, Disney World. A few blocks away, getting their head knocked off their shoulders like that. That is insane. Like, that's crazy.
A vast, diverse, and vibrant landscape of people and nature. But underneath all that beauty, lurking in the streets of the city of Jacksonville, lies a much more sinister scene. This is the story of Jacksonville's deadly gang wars. To begin this video, I want to introduce the two gangs that are at the center of this war. The first is the ATK gang, led by rapper Youngeen Ace, whose real name is Kayanta Bullet. This gang had its origins in the Youngeen gang. Ace became a member of the Youngeen gang when he was just 14 years old and had only begun his rapping career. Born in Chicago to a single mother with
14 is crazy. Like 14? 14, like at 14, you should be focusing on your schoolwork, your chores. Damn, are we not normal 14-year-olds, guys? Well, at the time, like, what?
11 siblings, it is not difficult to imagine that Ace might have wanted to try and make a name for himself so that he stood out amongst his family. So when his family moved to Jacksonville, Florida, when he was still a young boy, Ace found a family and strong friends in the Youngeen gang. However, he wasn't alone in joining the gang though, as his brother, Trayvon Bullet, gang name Quan Quan, also joined. As the years passed by, Ace grew older. He began taking his rapping career a bit more seriously. This resulted in the release of his first song and music video, Go to War, on the 18th of January 2017. This video was a huge success for Ace, and within the first week, it had hit over 100,000 views on YouTube. It has gone on to rack up millions of views now. However, it was only the first in a line of songs that would come to build Ace's rapping career. But things were going down in his personal life. Shortly after the release of this song, in October 2017, Ace was arrested and sentenced to 31 months of probation for an accessory charge. It was also during this time that he began growing apart from the Youngeen crew and started interacting more with the gangs on the east side of Jacksonville. Not long after this, Ace and a few members from the Youngeen gang, those he was closest to, joined forces with the east side gangs to form ATK. This effectively meant that Ace was in control of the west and east side of Jacksonville. Now, the name ATK has sparked a little bit of controversy itself. There are many theories as to what this gang's name means. Some believe that it stands for Ace's Top Killers. Another theory is that it means aim to kill, or perhaps it is simply a shortened version of the word attack. But whatever the name stands for, one thing that they all have in common.
Attack sound crazy. Like, no, that's definitely not it.
And that they all live up to, is the fact that they all seem to promise violence. And if one thing is for certain, it's that the members of this gang certainly aren't shy about getting their hands dirty. Can
you imagine a group of gang members walking up to you? Attack! Where you from? Attack! What?
Thing that the KTA gang knows more than anyone. But who is the KTA gang, right? Well, KTA, thought to stand for Kill Them All, is a rapper gang similar to ATK, and whose origins started in the gang PCE, Problem Child Entertainment. PCE was a gang with some pretty hardcore members who had caused a lot of trouble in Jacksonville over the years. This trouble actually led to the arrests of the top 10 members of PCE, who were charged with murder and firearm offenses. Those who were left of the PCE gang soon fell into league with a man called Charles Jones, otherwise known as Foolio. Coming from a very troubled childhood, Foolio grew up surrounded by violence. When he was only 13 years old, his father was taken out by 2 shots to the head. And if that wasn't bad enough, before the rapper had even reached the age of 20, he had already lost 15 friends to gun violence. So it's not really a surprise that he would come to lead his own gang. Much like Youngeen Ace, Foolio allied with gangs in the south of Jacksonville, who soon came to run under the gang name KTA as well. This effectively gave him control of the north and south of the city. Following a similar path to Ace in ATK, Foolio dropped his first song and music video in 2018. The song, called Coming Up, quickly went viral, and it wasn't long before Foolio was on his way to a promising career as a rapper. However, relations between the two gangs, ATK and KTA, weren't looking as promising. When asked in an interview why gangs often go to war with each other, Foolio claimed that there were 3 main reasons. The first reason why gangs often fight is that rappers disrespect each other. Whether it be a music video, a social media post, or something else, dissing your opponent is quite a big thing amongst gangs, especially if they're trying to prove themselves as the baddest and toughest gangs in the area. However, a lot of the time, these disses are met with violent actions, especially if a gang's deceased members are the ones being dissed. This is actually the second reasons why gangs go to war. Protecting the memory and honor of a fallen friend ranks quite high in gangs' code of conduct. So gangs often feel the need to enact violence to retaliate for any slight given to a fallen friend. The third reason why gangs fight is over territory. For a lot of gangs, the bigger the area they control, the more money and respect they can get. Whether this is through selling drugs or simply being the ones who people fear to mess with, territory can mean a lot. However, in the case of
I mean, they make it seem like gang members don't work. Like these YouTubers sometimes. It's funny. I love them, but it's funny sometimes because it's like they're just going based on like, like the internet. Like niggas like me that been in the hood, lived in the hood, no gang members. Nigga, gang members, they have jobs. Okay, like just because you're in a gang does not mean you have to sell drugs. Like what's happening? I just didn't like that one part. Okay, that's all.
ATK versus KTA, territory wasn't the main reason for their feud. The beef between these two gangs seemingly came down to respect, or a lack of it anyway. Whilst there are most likely other instances of disrespect between the two gangs dating back many years, one of the most obvious shows of this happened back in 2015. It was November 2015. A rapper, Kodak Black, was performing a concert at a nightclub in Jacksonville. Being quite a well-known rapper, Kodak's concert drew in a large crowd, which included members from the PCE gang, who later went on to become KTA, and the 187 Out West gang, who went on to become ATK members. There had been tension between these two groups for quite some time. However, not wanting to spoil the night, the members of each gang decided to shake hands to form a sort of truce. It looked like things were going well, until a member of one of the gangs, it is not known which one, refused to shake hands. The disrespect that this member showed angered the opposing gang and led to the man being slapped. Of course, this led to an all-out fistfight between the two gangs, which was eventually broken up, but the damage had been done. And what followed next was a series of tit-for-tat shootings between both groups.
Damn, all of that over a not giving a handshake? Nah, this goes back to what Vaughn said in his may he rest in peace, in his $1 million worth of game interview. He was like, niggas don't know how to communicate, cause nah, all of that over a handshake, like nah, bro. We're not going to war over a handshake, bro. That's just crazy.
Things quickly escalated until one fateful day in January 2016, it became clear to the public just how dangerous and bloody the feud between the two gangs actually was. It started off as a normal day for most people in Jacksonville, who had no idea what horror would soon unravel. Tamisha Brown, a Jacksonville resident, was sitting in her car outside of her home with her 22-month-old son, Aiden McClendon, and his great-grandmother, Mary Thomas. The two women were happily talking when all of a sudden, shots were fired at the car and everyone in it. It turned out that the attack was supposed to be on Aiden's uncle, who was involved in a gang dispute, but the one who paid the price was none other than little Aiden himself.
See, now all of this little boy lost his life because a group of grown men couldn't seem to just have a conversation. I'm disgusted.
Tragically, Aiden was hit at least 3 times. His wounds were fatal and he passed away at the scene. It took 2 years before the boys responsible for the attack were arrested and charged. Henry Lee Hayes, who'd been 16 years old at the time of the hit, and Quam Rigwan Richardson.
Babies killing babies. Babies killing babies. At what point is it gonna stop? Babies killing babies.
Who were 17 years old at the time, were both given life sentences. Due to being tried as juveniles, they will be eligible for release after 25 years. However, Aiden's mother was thankful the 2 gang members had been arrested, as she hoped it meant other people's children would be safer on the streets. But she didn't see the troubles that were yet to come. The feud between the 2 gangs didn't stop there. Throughout 2016, there were various tit-for-tat killings between the ATK and the KTA gangs. Following the passing of little Aiden, whose uncle was the supposed target, the gangs took turns getting their revenge on each other whenever one of them was wronged. But it was in 2017 when the beef between the two worsened. On the 27th of May 2017, 18-year-old Zion Brown, otherwise known as Tweaking Jit, was at home with his 2 sisters, who were 16 and 9 years old. Zion was the blood cousin of Fulio and one of his closest friends within KTA. The young man was relaxing in his home when, at around 1:30 a.m., a loud smash came from the back of the house. Within moments, a man stormed into the home and opened fire upon those within it. After what seemed like forever, but in reality was only seconds, the man had fled, leaving behind a deceased Zion and 2 injured girls. Following the investigation, a thorough investigation was conducted, and police officers
Nah, Florida body different. They just running up in the crib. Florida different. No, niggas in Brooklyn, niggas probably shoot out the car. You know what I mean, niggas probably walk up on you out in public, boom. But to walk in your house not knowing what, nah, that's different.
arrested a man called DeAndre Thomas for the murder and attempted murder of Zion and his sisters. DeAndre was better known as Trey Shorty amongst his friends in the ATK gang. At the time, it was thought that Trey didn't carry the attack out on his own, and that he possibly had help from none other than youngin' Ace himself. However, there is no evidence to support this theory, so only Trey was arrested and jailed. But with the death of not only a member of his gang but a blood relative, Fulio and the rest of KTA wanted revenge, and what resulted was one of the bloodiest and most fatal hits in the entire feud between the two crews. For a while, it looked as if ATK had gotten away with the hit on Zion. Months passed by, and even a new year had begun. It was almost as if Fulio and the rest of KTA had forgotten all about the attack, but that wasn't the case at all. On the 5th of June 2018, Ace and 3 other members of ATK were out celebrating Ace's brother's 18th birthday. In total, there was Ace himself, his brother Quan, and friends RJ and Kobe. The group of 4, feeling in high spirits, decided to head to Wasabi Japanese Steakhouse in St. John's Town Center in Jacksonville. The entire time that the group was out, they were posting pictures and videos to social media, happy to be celebrating Quan's birthday. But while doing so, the group had let down their guard, and it would prove to be a fatal mistake. After finishing their meal,
See, I remember back in the day when Snapchat first came out and the world just wasn't so cruel and these young niggas just didn't become so heartless. Yo, back in the day, you was able to post your Snapchat, post your location and make your home safe. That's like the early 2000s. Now, hell no. Now you take a picture. You ain't editing, posting that shit till you get to the. It's sad. You can't even live a happy, comfortable, fun life anymore.
the ATK group of 4 got into their car and began making their way home. The group pulled up to an intersection located at the Town Center Parkway and St. John's Bluff when, all of a sudden, another car pulled up alongside them. Within seconds, the second car opened fire on the Chevy sedan Ace was in. Allegedly, over 120 bullets were fired into the car, hitting everyone in it. As quickly as the shooting began, it stopped again, and the second car sped away from the scene of the crime. Sadly, everyone in the car had been hit, with 3 people suffering fatality from their wounds. The only survivor of the incident was Ace himself.
Yo, that is insane. That is insane. This young man lost 3 of his friends in the same night, and he almost died. He survived. That he's here for a reason. I gotta listen to some of his music. That is crazy.
And even he was suffering with being hit 8 times. Police were quickly called to the scene, and Ace was taken to the nearest hospital. Despite all of his injuries though, the young rapper was quickly thrown out of the hospital due to not having any medical insurance, and the police not ensuring he got the proper care that he needed. When he was forced out, Ace
What? Oh no, this isn't. What? Legally, they can do that? This man is injured. Aren't they supposed to bill you after the fact? What?
still had 6 bullets in his body, which doctors refused to remove because of his lack of insurance. Shockingly, no arrests were made after the incident, and all attackers got away. Not long after being sent out of the hospital, police arrested Ace for violating his parole as he'd been seen in a gun shop earlier that day, which was against his probation rules. Luckily for the young rapper, his lawyer was able to get him free only 1 month later. Feeling incredible pain from losing 3 of his closest friends, including his brother, in just one night, Ace took to expressing himself through his music. He ended up releasing a song called Pain, which has gained over 60 million views since the time of its release. The song itself detailed how Ace felt about losing those closest to him and how he suffered from survivor's guilt. Seeing the video, Fulio quickly took to social media and began making some very disrespectful comments towards Ace and the 3 deceased ATK members, essentially taking responsibility for
Man, you can't play around with death, man. You can't laugh at the dead. You can't mock the dead. You can't do that. That's a no-no. That's why y'all heard my song, No I Blunt. Go stream my song, No I Blunt. That's that other shit that we was used to be on, that we let these rappers know. That stuff not cool. We not doing that.
for the hit on the gang and the subsequent deaths of the 3 men. Of course, after such a vicious hit and blatant disrespect, Ace and the rest of ATK couldn't sit back and do nothing. They wanted revenge, and they were going to get it by any means necessary. On the 23rd of July 2018, a street party was being held at Jacksonville's East Side Philip Randolph Park. Over 1,000 people were in attendance, hoping to enjoy a nice evening out with friends and family. However, that quickly changed when gunshots started going off. In a mass panic, those in the park ran away in fear for their lives. But it was 21-year-old Lawrence Davis, otherwise known as Trey D, to his KTA friends, who was the actual target. A close friend of Fulio's, Trey D was not able to escape the attack and ended up severely wounded. He eventually passed away later on in hospital. This was a clear retaliation for the attack on Ace, and the fact that Trey D was one of Fulio's closest friends only made matters worse. Not long after this attack though, an incident occurred which would go on to become one of the most famous mysteries in connection to the ATK and KTA war. On the 11th of July 2018, 18-year-old Corbin Johnson was dropped off for a job interview. That was the last time that anyone saw him for a whole year. At the time, no one knew what happened to Corbin, and no one was taking responsibility for his disappearance. It was only a year later, in 2019, that Corbin's remains were discovered in a wooded area in North.
What? What the hell they got going on in Jacksonville, Florida? They kidnapped him? And what? This is, oh my, no, this is horrible. This is like little ass boy. No, this is craziness.
Northwest Jacksonville, and no one was taking responsibility for his disappearance. It was only a year later, in 2019, that Corbin's remains were discovered in a wooded area in northwest Jacksonville. It was thought that the young man was an affiliate of ATK and that he was targeted for this very reason. However, no one has come forward to claim responsibility for his death. At the time of Corbin's disappearance, only a few months later, Ace was back in jail for breaking his parole again. The young rapper turned himself in after he went to the mall without permission. This gave Fulio the chance to further his rap career by making more songs and music videos. However, a lot of these songs focused heavily on disrespecting Ace and the members of ATK, especially the dead ones.
That's why I never heard of it. Because it's like, those type of songs don't really go far. Because it's negative. So it's like, he gotta switch his flow up eventually.
Not wanting to lose to Fulio as soon as Ace was out of jail, he set about making his own music again. Whilst the leader of ATK focused on his music, his gang was celebrating the release of one of ATK members who'd been jailed 10 years earlier, Willie Addison, otherwise known as Boss Goon. A rapper himself, Boss Goon was eager to get back to creating and performing music. It was for this reason that he decided to perform at the Paradise Club in Spring Park. After finishing his set, Boss Goon, his brother Kesu, and their dad and 3 other people all got into the car to go home. They pulled up to a traffic light on Emerson Street near Spring Park when a second car pulled up alongside them. Much like the times before when this had happened, the second car opened fire before speeding off, leaving Boss Goon fatally wounded and the other 5 people with various injuries. To rub salt into the wound, Fulio was quick to take to social media, dissing Boss Goon and making fun of the fact that he had been attacked. This left Boss Goon's brother Kesu eager for revenge. Known as the Demon of Jacksonville, the ATK member was about to live up to his title. Only 2 weeks after the hit on Boss Goon, Kesu and a few other members from the ATK planned their own hits on some of the KTA members. However, during the shootout, Kesu's friend and fellow gang member Dominic Barner, otherwise known as Butter, accidentally hit an innocent bystander. The man, Damon Rothermel, was out riding his bike when a stray bullet hit him, throwing him to the ground. Sadly, the injury was fatal, and Damon passed away at the scene. The ATK members quickly fled the scene.
Yo, and y'all wonder why I do YouTube, bro. Like, that makes you not want to go outside, bro. Yo, the other day, some shorty hit me up. She like, oh, come with me to X place. I ain't gonna say the name. She like, X place. I'm like, nah. Nah, shorty. Like, that sound like the hood. First of all, I know that's the hood. You know what I mean? So I'm like, nah, I don't do certain hoods straight like that. She's like, I understand. I don't play that. Certain places, you're not gonna see me. Call me whatever you want. Nope.
And it would take over a year for Butter to be arrested and charged with the murder of Damon. And whilst he was free, Butter allegedly became one of ATK's top shooters in the year of 2019. With all of these attacks and shootings going on, you might be wondering, where are the police in all this? Well, they're not sitting idly by. With all of the attention that the two gangs were gaining as the feud waged on, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, JSO for short, was eager to try and put a stop to the senseless killings. They began by issuing an arrest warrant for 9 members of KTA, successfully arresting 6 of them for various charges, including homicide. As well as that, a common theme had cropped up in both ATK and KTA's music videos. The rappers were admitting to murder through their lyrics. It was for this reason that the JSO began looking a bit more deeply into the music of both gangs, hoping to catch as many people as they could. However, during all this, they weren't able to stop the Demon of Jacksonville from exacting his revenge, and it was quite a huge incident that he created in doing so. On the 25th of February 2019, Andrean Gaynor Jr., otherwise known as Bibby to his KTA friends, was outside his home at the Hilltop Village apartment complex off of 45th Street. Then, out of nowhere, members of the ATK gang appeared, allegedly including Kesu, and they were out for blood. After supposedly chasing Bibby through the parking lot of the complex, the 16-year-old boy was gunned down. The death of Bibby greatly affected Fulio, who felt responsible for the attack, as he believed the teen was only targeted for his affiliation with him. It didn't help that Kesu and the rest of ATK were quick to begin disrespecting Bibby and mocking his death.
Yo, I know them cameramen be mad nervous, like, yo, make sure this nigga gun don't go off. I'm trying to get out the way, or they pointing the gun. The cameraman probably be like, hold on, trying to get the angle and all that. Like, yo, cameraman, how you deal with that?
In the wake of Bibby's passing, Fulio released a heartfelt tribute to him in the form of the song Bibby's Story. Obviously though, this wasn't enough for Fulio, and he was determined to get his own back on ATK. It is thought that Bibby's death was the catalyst for the increase in violence between the two gangs. What followed over the course of the next couple of years was a tit-for-tat spree of murders between ATK and KTA. On ATK's side, they lost members such as Jeremy Alexander Brookins, known as Rolo to his friends, Lil Lakey, Michi, and B5. On KTA's side, they lost members such as Techie, Lil Buck, Lil PT, Lil 9, Rod K, and Spazza 2X. Throughout all of this time as well, both gangs were busy making music, which often centered around rapping about the people they'd hit and disrespecting them as much as they could. But it was in 2021 that the real game changer came. By March 2021, Kesu and his father had been arrested for multiple charges, and both the ATK gang and the KTA gang had lost multiple members. Any sensible person would think that the two groups would call a truce and lay down their weapons to avoid any more bloodshed. However, this was not what these people did.
Like, yo, they don't even let it calm down. Like, let the beef calm down. Like, I mean, then, hold on, y'all. And then pop out. But they don't even let it calm down. It's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we spend it. Like, it's too, but the cops ain't doing enough. That's one. To keep the civilians safe, to keep the baby safe.
Instead, on the 28th of April 2021, Youngin Ace and members of the ATK gang released a new song that was the most disrespectful one they'd ever done. You most probably have already listened to it, Who I Smoke. This song...
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, like, I love this song, but I hate it because it's so negative, but it's like one of those, just why did they take that song and make it that, and it's just so crazy.
Which samples Vanessa Carlton's song 1,000 Miles, most well known for the film White Chicks, went on to rack up millions of views within the first few weeks of being released. The song itself, whilst possibly sounding quite upbeat and happy, actually goes on to disrespect multiple deceased members of KTA, including Bibby. Ace and his friends continually say that they smoke on multiple people, meaning that they effectively do not care or are glad that these people are gone. Obviously, Fulio was not happy with this at all. The KTA leader immediately took action, travelling to Ace's territory in Melvin Park and defacing the sign. He also went on to film a music video in the park itself.
Oh nah, that boy wow. Yo, it's like they don't care about their life. Why they don't care about their life? And then women be laying down with men that don't care to live? Why would you do that? That's just stupid, right? I mean, anybody could tell me if I'm wrong.
Essentially, telling Ace that he had claimed the territory for himself. But this wasn't enough for him. Feeling that he still hadn't gotten his own back on the disrespectful actions of Ace and ATK, Fulio also went on to release his own diss track called When I See You on the 23rd of April 2021. Much like Who I Smoke, Fulio's song also dissed multiple deceased members of ATK, with him almost admitting to taking out quite a few of them himself. The revenge song also gained millions of views within weeks, rivaling Ace's track. Despite how disrespectful the diss tracks were, the war between the two gangs has slightly died down, with Fulio and Ace, among other people, eager to focus on their music careers over their gang war. Whilst there is still the
That's good. Keep it in the music. Take it out the streets, because babies is getting hurt. It's ridiculous now.
occasional hit or diss track between the two sides, it is thought that KTA has almost fully disbanded. This is due to infighting and legal issues facing the members of the gang. Likewise, ATK is supposedly not as prevalent anymore due to similar legal issues and desires to focus on the music. We can only hope that things will stay quiet, that the only noise coming from either group is from their new songs, and that the Jacksonville residents get to live in peace for a while.
And the babies can be safe.
Let us know your thoughts on this gang feud in the comments.
It needs to stop. It's ridiculous.